Hey Barb, thank you very much for your sharing, and I'd love to talk about that forever, but I'll try to just bring it down to just a few lines, because you're bringing up this possibility of the conspiracy theory. My feeling is that this Corona crisis is so existential, so complex that it brings up all the questions that we can imagine, and there's so many answers. And I think the trap that we can fall into is to either make them too complex or too easy. And conspiracy theories, sometimes it feels like we want easy answers. It's that one thing, we're getting fucked, and that's the story. But maybe it's just as complex as you're bringing it up. Maybe it's we have many answers. Maybe it is happening. But then again, if we trust ourselves and if we don't fuck ourselves and society and the planet, what does it matter that we're getting fucked? I mean, after all, I think we want to break through this getting fucked. And so I think your answer that it's just a virus is perfectly sane. It's just what's happening. You know, when we get scared, and we have all experienced our share of trauma. I mean, there's no one who's not traumatized who doesn't have some kind of fear. So I think the question is really, do we trust ourselves? And if we really get a feeling for for what that means to trust ourselves, we can then compare it to what's happening in the world. And then we can feel where there's no trust. And and I think it's just a perfect mirror. And it's there's no easy answers. Mm, you know, you could also ask the question, who's smarter, humanity or that army of viruses that maybe just they maybe don't even want to kill us. They're just killing a relatively small percentage. But we as humans, we're about to kill our ecosystem, and that's far more severe. So maybe we're not as smart. So I think we need to shift the conversation away from this hype on being only focused on this story and make it wider and talk about how people are dying, and dignity in dying, and how many other people are dying besides from the coronavirus. And so yeah, I think it's really good you're bringing this up because conspiracy theories, they're part of the whole spectrum of existential questions that are now being brought up by this crisis. And there's for sure people are going to take advantage of this. Some people are aware, maybe more of what's happening. And maybe there's even people kind of like behind the scenes, but to reduce it to that, that's too easy. I think it's also just the result of how the state of our world is. It's just happening because we do neglect looking at death, and now we're all focused on preventing it, and we don't talk about what it means to be born and to die, which is what makes up life. It's not maybe a question of life or death, but about how do we want to live and more of love. And so in that, maybe we're on the same page that we just decide, maybe the world is good. And I believe that. I believe that there's fundamental principles at play, how the world works. And that's what I would like to maybe share more about, these underlying principles that, it's just natural if we have a society and economy based on growth only, and it doesn't include that there can also be less of something, that there can be scarcity, and we're all focused on, always having enough, always growing. It's just so natural that it needs to crash. Anybody who really knows the financial system knows it has to crash. So yeah, and some people use it. That's how the market works. People take advantage of that, and So the question is, I think, to fully take responsibility ourselves and really look at ourselves and and see, do I trust? Do I love? What do I have to give? And what can I add to a world where there's more trust? And so yeah, it's scary, but it's an opportunity. And the truth is, it's both, I guess. So yes, we can get fucked, and this can all happen, with the forced Impfung, how do you say, the vaccines, that can happen. That's already happening because we don't trust anymore. So we can choose trust and boost our immune system. And so I think we need a good balance of self responsibility and really, yeah, holding those in power responsible for also, working for the country and for the collective society. But we're really part as well. So let's tackle this. I think we can do it.